So welcome everyone to a very special multidimensional healing. This is an Earthworker exclusive. This is an example of content that you would receive as an Earthworker member. Earthworker members have access to a private web page that gives them tips and advice and energetic content just like this to help your path, to help enhance your path, advance your path, and really clear and transform some of the blocks and stuck areas. Specifically, this one today is addressing the hidden roots of resistance. Now, resistance is what we bump into when we become uncomfortable at something. The nature of transformational work is to dig deep, is to get into those places that are unresolved patches of conditioned consciousness. It doesn't matter if you don't know where that is, or what that means, but it really is, the symptom is when you start feeling uncomfortable, and that discomfort can manifest in any kind of way. You can say, I'm going to distract myself with food, with entertainment, with surfing. To me, the addictions that we have in our current society are one big resistance response. And at the root of resistance, hidden trauma. But we deal with that in other multidimensional healing sessions. Today, we just want to focus on hidden roots of resistance. And let's see where it takes us, right? You ready? So we've already created a group field. So I want you to take a moment to sense into this space you've entered. It's a sacred space of grace where we're meeting. Well, there's a physical location that is in the Tibetan mountains, in the sacred mountain of Mount Kailash, where people go to create pilgrimage. There's caves in there that are just sacred energy. But there's also a plane outside of the realm of existence where it's a magical realm, where Source meets us where we are. And that's where we are right now, in the sacred space between worlds, where we're going to invite your personal guides in. There's already divine mothers here, the master healers, Merlin of magical transformation, Earth, Gaia shows up as needed, the celestials. This is a place where Source in all its divine forms serves your transformation. And your personal guide wants to join. And so we're going to invite them in. And they come in through your crown and into your heart and spine to really just monitor as a representative to make sure you get what you need, where you need it, how you need it, because they're like, and your guide could be your future self, your guide could be a deity that you really resonate with. It could be an angel. It's that divine being that sees outside of you. They're the ones that are going to help illuminate the hidden resistance within you. So welcoming them in the count of 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. And it's a nice smile-like welcoming, like your system just arrived home, a place that you didn't even know was missing. We're going to do an exercise to enhance that. It's a grounding technique that will help create a calibration to recalibrate you to this natural flow. But first, before we do that, we're going to start with some sacred chanting. And Sanskrit mantras hold, each syllable holds sacred meaning. So we're going to sing a Sanskrit mantra that is designed as a devotional chant to higher consciousness and the wisdom within higher consciousness. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namo, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Shiva Om Namo. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Welcome, welcome, welcome. This devotional chant again creates, through sound vibration, a sacred welcoming of the divine within you and the divine consciousness within us all. We're going to enhance that by doing a little grounding exercise. So for the next few minutes, I'm going to invite you to breathe down through your root chakra, the base of your spine, and there's a grounding cord that stretches. We're going to invite it to stretch all the way to the center of the earth. Human beings used to have a natural grounding because we lived on the earth, we lived off the earth. We constantly were in vibrational presence with the earth all the time because that was our nature, our true nature. And so we've gotten away from that, not only as individuals, but as a culture and as a world. The earth misses it. A lot of the apathy and wounding we have is an absence of this deeper connection. So we're going to do a recalibration. So inviting you to breathe down through the chair, the ground, the floor you're sitting on, through the building, through the sub-basement, into the top layers of the soil, through the various geological phases and layers of the earth, into the very molten core, where there's a crystalline ball, this heart of Gaia. Plug into her like an umbilical cord, attaches to Mother. And you're going to be fed this sacred merging, this emergent energy that is a reminder of your Gaian presence. This physical body is a Gaian body, but also you're bridging yourself down there. So that's your own divinity, remembering its earthen roots. And this recalibration is something we do in the beginning of every session. And it's, again, a reminder of something we've long since forgotten and have unprogrammed ourselves, repatterned ourselves out of it. So this reprogramming is almost like creating a new template of emergence, emerging as a grounded, anchored, rooted, divine being walking in presence on this earth. So for the next couple of minutes, just rhythmically breathe down into earth, as earth breathing up into you, all the way up through your spine to the very top of your crown, and then exhaling down into the earth. Now, as we do this, I'm going to upgrade your grounding cord with these high frequency structures. Most of you already have them, but some of you need an update because our ability to connect these high frequencies changes all the time. So we're just upgrading your grounding cord with high frequency grounding structures. And you'll notice, because you'll feel that connection, that grounded connection kind of elevate, like it's more easier now to connect to the earth, and as earth breathing up into you. Beautiful. So just continue that rhythmic breathing, and as you do so, I'm going to recalibrate your system chakra by chakra. So as earth breathing up into you, we're going to stop first at the subroot first chakra and just gently clear out. So the focus of today is the hidden roots of resistance, any kind of hidden resistance. So what we're clearing out in this particular exercise, some leftover resistance. Doesn't really matter. You don't need to have a story about what it is. To me, I just sense that it's some sort of blockage, maybe pain or emotion attached to it, doesn't matter. So you're going to hear me kind of doing Shakti breath, this exhale, inhale and exhale out. So we're here in the subroot first chakra. There we go. Clearing out any of that, well, we'll just call it garbage, debris. It is tied and aligned and related to resistance. There we go. And now breathing into your root chakra. Oh yeah, boom, running into a boatload there. And that resistance, tied to fear. Doesn't really matter, again, what story is attached to it. We're not in the story. We're in the byproduct of that story, which is a bunch of, yeah. If this energy could talk, it would be swearing like a sailor. There we go. And through our intention, through the help of your guides, through the help of the energetic presence that is working with us. I simply call them source because they're amalgamation, this collective of divine mothers that hold space for creation to manifest into a different form that's shifting consciousness, master healers that hold space for this creation to be activated, and of course Mother Gaia, elementals, angels, any aspect of source that wants to show up as an assistance to your process. For as we unite, the source of all energy awakens within us and recognizes the source of all energy outside of you, and it becomes more unified. And that's how the earth changes. People think their purpose, I need to go out and march, I need to go out and do something purposeful out there. The greatest thing you could ever do is change within you, to recognize your unified connection with your infinite true self. Greatest purpose is to unify or find your wholeness, or in other terms, awaken from the illusion. And then whatever you do afterwards is done from that place of freedom. What a beautiful thing, right? I call that earthwork. There we go. We need a piece still there in the root chakra. Now breathing up into the sacral. Sometimes I talk as a form of distraction because, to me, one of the biggest symptoms of resistance is that discomfort, right? Is some form of dissatisfaction, is some rejection, even of divinity itself. So when this energy comes in, if we feel it, discomfort will take us over and we'll just actively be repulsed or unconsciously, which is why it's hidden, reject it, turn away from it. So sometimes you hear me talking until your mind kind of gets distracted, and that's why I do that. So we're in the sacral chakra. Oh yeah, there's some nasty discomfort there. And what I mean by nasty, it's just some block of disconnect, disassociation that, again, turns away from something. Could be guilt, could be shame, and there's all sorts of stories and emotional attachments and projections and judgments tied to it. But none of that really matters. We want to be in the meat, in the heart of the blockage, right? We want to be in its symptomology. In its manifesting. We are being said that this work is re-manifesting. Anything that comes into form, including our conditioned consciousness, is a manifestation of something, a wound, a trauma, an experience that was negative and impactful. And so we want to re-manifest it. So you're going to hear me use that term. And that's a shift in consciousness. Well, we're still in the sacral. There we go. We had to go into the kidneys there a little bit. And all this, each one of these phases ties into the next in preparing your system to transform dimensionally. You can't skip one. People ask me all the time, can you do shorter versions of this? I'm like, I would love to. But I'm completely led by the divine. The divine says, nope, this phase and follows this phase, follow that phase, which prepares this for that, especially resistance. Resistance is a tricky little bugger. Trust me, if this was Betty doing this, Betty would just jump right in and go, resistance be gone, and use a spray or something, right? Create a spray, energy spray, resistance be gone. It doesn't work that way. I learned long ago to surrender and allow the divine to navigate this process. And we're connecting to the divine within you. That's why you have an internal guide. And each one of those internal guides, if you're listening, is connecting to the divine in this interface between worlds. And that's what's truly sparking this process. Okay, we're still in this sacral chakra. Okay, coming into the third chakra. Here is the place, yep, and it's completely shut down. It's completely shut down and blocked in a way that resistance is all about control. Really, resistance says, I'm uncomfortable, so I'm going to do this. I want to reject that. And again, this is hidden resistance. So you're not even consciously doing it. It's a habit. How do you know you have resistance? When you do something and that seems instinctual or by rote, or that's out of your control. Like I was talking with someone earlier, and emotional eating. I just, when I get into this environment, I just have to have this because it's serving a need. I'm really uncomfortable, and so I want to literally feed my body with something that make me feel better because I'm craving. And so all of these go together as a literal unconscious reaction to some form of discomfort. I'm not comfortable with that. And that's resistance. That's programmed resistance that is unresolved, unhealed, and unrecognized. You call your awareness your superpower, because if you can get your awareness into it, then some of those habitual conditioned programming can start to shift, and you can make different choices and actually have agency over those choices. There's a difference there. Can you relate? Oh, your third chakra did not like that talk. Your third chakra says, no, I'm in charge. I'm in charge of protecting myself from whatever is deemed needs protecting. And really, that's what resistance is too. Resistance can be a form of self-protection that you don't even know is there. When we're working dimensionally, we target things like your karmic history. These are the past lives that can be quite nasty, can be quite dark, but they exist. And if we can get our awareness into them, if source can go deep enough, they start shifting, and you start changing because your awareness of whatever they held helps you change. And they're also genetic patterns, our ancestral histories and the stories of our ancestors who, we all know they did dark, horrible things, right? And so we have these past lives where we had maybe torturous things and shame and guilt, and we have our ancestors' life that predispose us in this lifetime. So all these are hidden, all these are below the surface, kind of like a iceberg, right? We see the tip of the iceberg, but then we know all this stuff is beneath it. So we wonder why we're stuck. We wonder why we can't progress in life. We wonder why we can't achieve. We wonder why we have lack. And on the surface of that is this layer of resistance that really blocks deeper knowing, deeper awareness. And that's where multidimensional healing really works well, because we're working with source to illuminate those and create the perfect environment that feels safe enough to access it. So here in this recalibration, we're recalibrating a third chakra just to be more receptive. Oh yeah, there's a spot right in the rib cage. There we go. Now breathing into the heart. And the heart. There's some apathy in the heart that just says, if I cared enough, maybe I'd react. If I asked you if you had apathy, you might say no. Again, these are the hidden places that you don't know are tied to subterranean roots, subterranean issues that are unresolved, unhealed, unprocessed. And if we can bring them into awareness, we can bring them into the light. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. Oh, there it is, inviting you to be with it. It can be an uncomfortable process. That's why not everyone does it, because you meet this kind of stuff there. But as you meet them, in this meeting, you gain the wisdom of what? Resilience. You gain the wisdom of patience. You gain the wisdom of surrender. Trust me, I learned surrender kicking and screaming. Wisest thing I've ever done. None of this would exist if I didn't know how to surrender. None of it. Because there is no me doing this. This is me. This is Betty listening to the divine and opening up space and holding space for you to do the same, if you wish. And that's where the transformation occurs. The only tip, advice I can give you is to open up, receive, let go, and let the energy do the work. Surrender. Surrender. But when you have resistance, there's a part of you that says, yeah, F you, I'm not going to surrender. So that's kind of the tricky part, the navigational trick of this. So that's what we're getting into today. What part of you is unknowingly resisting that simple request. Beautiful. The heart understood that. There we go. And now getting into the throat chakra, recalibrating. Oh, yeah. I don't know why in this session there's all these different swear words that want to come out. You know, like resistance A doesn't want to be seen, and if it did, it would sit there and swear. I'm not going to. I'm going to save you that sharing, but that's kind of the energy that's coming up as we tap into what's in the throat chakra. All that unspoken vitriol that is so frustrated by life, life in the past, life in the future, life in the present, in our current society, in our culture, within your relationships and family, that resists change. Okay, there we go. There we go. Oh, beautiful. That was a nice shift. There was a nice relaxation just in that movement alone. Now coming into the brow chakra. Brow chakra doesn't have much karma, but it does carry it is where the brain is situated, your third eye, you have your pineal gland, your pituitary, and we can do some adjustments here. There we go. Again, we're just recalibrating any obvious resistance. We're going to get a little bit deeper into it, but every single step has purpose. This is a recalibration just to open the door. Like we're knocking and resistance won't even open the door. Does that make sense? Energetically, it does. Logically, not so much. And now breathing into the crown, opening up the crown to the extent that it's ready. There we go. Like creaking open. Believe it or not, your crown carries resistance in the fact that it is the gateway, the gateway to allowing in the light. And the crown kind of has been programmed over the years to say, oh, if I only open so much, then this light that pours in won't be so intrusive. Again, this is the unhealed parts of you that see light as intrusive that you may not even know. Tricky little thing, right? That's why the spiritual process, the transformational process, can be push me, pull me, can be stop and start, because we bump into these things we didn't even know were there. And then they illuminate, we get our awareness into them, and we learn, we gain wisdom, we shift, we grow, we evolve. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. It also can be frustrating, bumpy, uh, terrifying at times as we meet our fears. And even in meeting those fears, we gain the strength and the wisdom that says, oh, I didn't need to resist that fear. It just kind of went poof as I met it. What I really didn't even realize is I was just afraid of the fear. It's the idea of the fear itself, not actually the fear. There was no fear there when I got into it. And now flowing up and out your crown and transforming how all your chakras work together. Beautiful. Fixing any divine or vital web lines that may be broken, reinforcing any ones that are weak, putting any structures in the Jinshin nodes that needs them, balancing the left and right side. Aligning the energetic bodies that may be out of alignment. All coming into this emergence of your divine self. It is awakening to its earth and body. Now, resistance doesn't want to be in certain areas of the body. So we may bump into that today. And if that's okay, and that's okay. Not if that's okay, that is okay. We're going to go through a certain phase, and you may nod off, you may get sleepy. The ideal way to meet this is to be awake and aware. So I'm going to tell you a secret. Sometimes nodding off is a form of resistance, because that resistance says, I don't want to be present with what's coming forward. So the advice is to try and stay awake and aware. So maybe pinch yourself or recognize that that sleepiness is the you that is resisting. Now, sometimes you do need to fall asleep so that this energy can get deeper, but if you can master staying awake, that is helpful for your awareness, because it's showing you, we're coming into an uncomfortable area here. Beep, beep, beep. What do I need to learn? What do I need to know about that? So that's just a suggestion. Notice when you get sleepy. Notice that it may be a part of you that is resisting your awareness. Something that's bubbling up, that's we call it bumping into something uncomfortable. Discomfort is a sure indicator of awareness. Falling asleep, nodding off, drifting off is a part of a disconnect, disassociation. That is a natural response. So the question is, can you bring yourself back? Can you notice that that is what's going on? Without judgment, without saying that's good or bad, just to be. Beautiful. And now breathing this into the spine, recalibrating the energetic spine and the nervous system and the brainstem and everything flowing. This wonderful connection of your divinity firmly rooted, grounded, and anchored within the body mind. Beautiful. Step one of the process. Second part, regulation. So we're going to drop into this regulation phase. Regulation phase recognizes that resistance is out of regulation. It is something dysfunctional, something disconnected, something out of sorts. But before we can even address it, resistance again puts up that smoke screen, shuts the door, closes the window. So what we want to do is ask your system what's out of regulation. So we can see this as a pool of water, or maybe an ocean. Some wise sages call it an ocean of awareness. And on the surface of the ocean of awareness is your life. What happens in your life? You're rocked back and forth by circumstances, experience, events, relationships, emotion. What we're inviting you to do is to drop beneath that ocean, into the still point energy, into this silence. It is the you free of those distractions, free of those stories. It's this beautiful space of awake awareness that is inviting what's out of regulation, what's dysregulated, what's out of sorts, what's chaotic. And it's again going right to your third chakra. It's going to any obvious pain of discomfort. And mechanically just transmuting it. We work every single session. I don't give them enough credit, but I'm going to start calling them out in gratitude. Goddess Durga, Goddess Kali, or Indian deities that are known for taking on our stuff and using it as fertilizer. When the goddess Kali shows up, that there's some stuff that needs to be moved, and she's the one to do it. Same with Durga. So we're calling them in, and they're in every single session, and they're like the dream keepers or garbage removers. They're probably not going to like me for calling them that, because they're beautiful, wonderful, powerful deities. I want to acknowledge them, thank them, because they're here every session, helping with the transmutation, the transfiguration, the transformation, the remanifesting of this dysregulation, the parts of you that automatically want to resist. And where it's going to is right to your third chakra, this control that says, no, I don't even want to be in this still silent place, because this still silent place maybe is the thing that frightens me the most. Because there's a lot of divinity in this still silent place. And over the course of this karmic history we call the Earth planet, there's incarnational experiences that may have not had a good time with divinity. Maybe they were human sacrifices. Maybe you hurt others in the name of God. Look at how many religious wars there were. Look at how many wars are happening right now in the name of God, in the name of divinity. And so there's all this distortion around divinity that maybe your system wants to automatically reject. It happens more often than you think. When I work with clients, it's a really common problem. But we don't acknowledge it because it's hidden. We don't want, our mind doesn't want to say, oh yeah, well, of course I'm divine, and of course I want to embrace the divine. No, this is the hidden aspects that kind of rejects the stories of distorted divinity. There we go. Now your third chakra is starting to relax. So if we don't do each part of these phases, then we can't really access the true root of resistance, because resistance, again, is a tricky little bugger. We don't know it's there. And it's tied to so many different things. If you truly knew how complex your dimensional energy system is, your head would just explode. We don't know. We're coming into more of a realization. We just think we just want to be happy, right? And what do we do when we want to be happy? We do things, We want to improve our body, be fit, be healthy. We think that's going to work. We want to own things in our overly consumerized commercial society. We think owning things is a sign of happiness and success. And that's our third chakra saying, if I have these things, I will be happy. We want to put up a brave face, and work to have the money to own those things. And we work 40, 50, 60, 70, 80-hour weeks. Normal. It's the American way, right? Just to get those possessions, and then to take the vacations so that we can de-stress from the amount of money we need to have every month to own those possessions, that house, that car, those clothes, that purse, that lifestyle. And we even use our spirituality to fix the flaws that we have. That is also a form of doing. Because when you only think that you can find happiness and peace after you've fixed every mistake, after you've mastered every challenge, you're really living in that after. You're not in the now. You're not in the present. So that's the resistance. And it's a tricky little bugger because it can show up in every aspect of your life and you don't even know it. There we go. Now your third chakra just relaxed a little bit. So there are light codes coming in my voice that are hitting different aspects of your system, but there also is a myriad of source working behind the scenes with you, for you, as you. So now dropping into the third phase, just gradually coming into this beautiful place of embrace. Embrace recognizes that at the heart of resistance is something really painful. Discomfort implies that, I don't want to face that. So embrace says, after you've grounded, after you've regulated, what part of you is really hurting and wanting protection and wanting love, really. And so embrace brings in the most beautiful energy of not just unconditional love, but peace. Because what we bump into oftentimes in this hidden dimensional work, because remember, dimensionality has all these conditions that create who we think we are now. It's not only our karmic history and ancestral history, but we have these divine blueprints, and we have this thing called collective consciousness around it that we're sitting in every day that impacts and affects us, not just ancestrally and karmically, but also right now. And so all these things contribute to who you are energetically today. And at the heart of this conditioning is some sort of wound that seeks to be resolved. That doership that we said, and the only thing it wants is love, safety, protection, fill in the blank. But the resistance says, I somehow don't deserve it. Or that makes me uncomfortable in some way. Or I'm going to reject that outright. Unconsciously. Again, these are hidden patterns. If I asked each one of you point blank if this is true for you, if I had a nickel for every time I mentioned this to someone, I'd be so wealthy. But my wealth is in seeing you shift, and resistance, hands down, giant problem for everyone. We all hit it at a certain point. If you're doing this work, you hit it constantly. It's a constant, oh, there's another piece of it. Oh, there's another piece. And we don't know what it is. And it's our awareness that gets into it. So here embrace is coming in to bring in nurturing, to bring in love, to bring in safety, bring in protection, bring in understanding. Because this understanding is also a part of the process. Because if we can understand something, if we can have our awareness into it, that fear that we thought we needed to fear just dissolves. Oh, that's not fear at all. That's just the framework of fear that was this, blustering thing, like a metaphor I use is the Wizard of Oz, when Dorothy walks into the chamber and she sees this giant head, blowing smoke and fire and screaming and just shouting, and really terrifying, until little Toto runs over and pulls that curtain, and it's just a guy inside there pulling all the levers. That's the nature of fear. Once we realize what it is, it's just this framework of emotional fire and shouting, falls completely apart. That is the power of your awareness. But resistance won't even let your awareness in. Resistance is that closed door. And you're going to bump into resistance along the path all the time. And you're not going to know where it comes from. And so this is a session you can come back to again and again, because we're not doing the work here. You're not doing the work here. We're inviting in your guides. And here in this beautiful phase of embrace, there's all sorts of love and nurturing and understanding and safety and compassion that's doing two things. One, it's illuminating. It's like little Pac-Man going out to say, okay, what's resisting, what's hiding, what's blind, what's in the shadows. But it's also creating the exact environment those things need to open up, to be accessible, to allow your awareness in, to allow the divine in. Because again, you may have an anti-divinity thing that you don't even know about, that has tied to your karmic history or your ancestral history. Your mind would say, oh, heck no. But your body knows. How does it know? Well, you wouldn't be here listening to this. You've hit some patch of divinity. And here's the thing. If you're resisting something, it's everything in the world is divine. Everything is made up of consciousness, and at the heart of consciousness is divinity. There's these divine threads interwoven through the vital web of life. So if you're resisting something, internally, externally, it's divine. So there's some form of you rejecting divinity. And our mind says no. And that in and of itself is a resistance, is a rejection. That is fooling yourself. And we do it all the time. I'm over here raising both my hands. Yep, doing it constantly. The reason I'm doing this is because I have a patch of resistance I just can't get to. We all have it. To admit it, part of the process. To be accountable for it, second part of the process. Let's do the work. Let's meet it. And so here we're just sitting back and letting go of that doership, just showing up, because there's nothing to do here. Again, You want to open up and receive and allow and surrender. Because even resistance says, I have to do something to fix this. But here in this fixing means to let go, means to receive, means to allow. There we go. And you shouldn't be surprised that your third chakra, your core, your lungs, your diaphragm, your spleen, your kidneys, of course, pancreas, your gallbladder, all these things are affected by resistance. So just listen to your body. What's going on right now as we sit in this beautiful place of embrace, inviting your system to do nothing but relax, open up, receive. As your guides point the way, as divine source illuminates those hidden places, those pockets of resistance. To really tie into that mental place, that emotional place, that somehow you cannot be okay, that you are not complete. Till everything is perfect. Someone who strives for perfection is really wanting just to control everything. One of the principles of awakening is to realize there's nothing that you can control. Change is inevitable. Change is a part of the process, and to be comfortable with change is truly a realization. And it's a deep relaxation when you realize that there's nothing to do, but you're just in a place of being. Resistance doesn't want that. Resistance says, no, I'm going to. And it fights, and there's tension. There's tension in your body. We're going to get to that in just a second. In the meantime, we just have this gentle, calming energy. Coming into that tension, coming into that place of bluster, coming into that tightness, that restriction. There we go. As a gentle invitation. Remember, we portrayed resistance as a slammed door, as a shut window. This is not just a knocking. It's a gentle invitation to open with whatever it needs. Frequencies of love, of protection, of safety, nurturing, of tenderness. Of understanding, compassion. There we go. Beautiful. Now we're going to put in all sorts of structures. These are, think of your system, if your system is like the most complex map you've ever seen, and it's dimensional, so it's not just flat, it's layered, layers that you can't see. So these structures pinpoint this issue of hidden resistance, so that when we do the next phase, you can more easily access it, source scan. So we're going to put in all sorts of structures, little maps, pinpoints on the map. My favorite is GPS structures, because that's what it acts like. if you can think of it as a map, these are GPS structures that are going beep, 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 beep. Where's the hidden resistance? Where is it? There it is. Beep, 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 beep. And some of these structures are filled with most loving energy because, again, this place of resistance rebuffs as a natural response. So we want to affect the most open environment we can. And everybody's different. Each resistance is different. So if you're listening to this again for another patch of resistance, these structures are pinpointing that as well. Now I'm going to bring in a really important structure. This is called truth structures. Remember when I said if you were falling asleep, that was a sign that you didn't want to be present with something? If you're still awake, good job. Really good job. This truth structure is deepening your awareness into that discomfort, into that place of resistance. Because again, it's like a wedge that says, oh, I see you. Whatever it was that was uncomfortable for me is starting to break down. We're going to get into it in just a second. But these truth structures are going to drop your awareness into that place of resistance that doesn't want to be seen. What a beautiful structure, right? Consider your awareness your superpower. As much help as you're getting from the divine, your awareness is your divinity coming into form. In an active, interactive way. Yeah, so if you're feeling a little bit discomfort now, good. Good. We're going to drop into that discomfort now in a phase called energetics, energizing. And it's going to ask your system what has weakened or depleted or created that resistance as a form. So let me just give you another tip. If you're exhausted all the time, that to me is a sure sign you're repressing something, that your system is physically, you got tension, you got trigger points, you got, you can't sleep, it's exhausted from holding down, from resisting, from fighting, from being stuck. I know that. It's like a hamster wheel and you don't know what it is. So your system really is in places in a form of resistance. And so we're going to optimize that. We're going to ask, hey, where is this patch of resistance? Whatever we're pointing at today, and again, this is something you can repeat. What does it need to re-energize, to stop being depleting? Does it need to build up certain, because it could be in certain organs, could be, again, your third chakra was showing itself, could be in your brain, could be in your kidneys, could be fear, could be in your hips, your pelvic region, you don't want to move forward, your knees, your shoulders, your heart, could be anywhere. And so Source is working with your system to optimize it, to re-manifest. May need strengthening, rebuilding, may need energizing, harmonizing because it's overstressed. I'm going to spend a few moments here. Yeah. Ooh. So sometimes these places in your system are so tight because they're completely exhausted and shut down and don't have enough energy to do anything about it. Even if we met it with the most sublime, most subtle energies, your system says, ugh, don't have it, can't do it. So each step of this process is important. We have to give those depleted spots the energy they need to cooperate, to get into that resistance. And for the most part, it can really be working on those energy pathways, those subtle pathways. Oh, there we go. Just notice what's happening in your body. Again, your awareness is your superpower. You sense any kind of tightness or tension, that's where your resistance is. Don't do anything. It's not like you need to do anything here but let go. Sometimes the process of doing is what's causing the tightness and tension. Maybe the exact opposite needs to happen. Maybe you just need to relax into it as a form of passive release. Source knows what it's doing. And if you need any kind of help, just notice your breathing. Are you breathing shallow? Well, maybe just seek to deepen it. Bring in more of your own personal Shakti. Eckhart Tolle has said that you can awaken just by breathing correctly. And that's true. So just notice if there's a shallow breathing and just bring more breath into this process. That's what you can do. Because change isn't a process of fixing something. We think it is. It's a mental concept that, oh my gosh, our culture is just, especially the self-help industry, right? Billions and billions of dollars, even the spiritual community. That's why we work on deconstructing those programs, deconstructing those patterns. Religion says it all the time. Do these Hail Marys, do this penance, do this forgiveness. We think there's something to do to be divine. When in reality, the opposite is true. It's a process of letting go, of surrendering, of becoming the wholeness that thinks it's separate through these conditioned patterns. So there really isn't anything to fix here. It's a process of healing. And I don't want to use the term letting go because, again, even letting go has gotten a bad rap. But it is a process of surrender. It is a process of recognition, of realization that the doership isn't what's going to create the kind of wellness and health and relaxation and energy that you need. Change happens in your life when you just start showing up exactly as you are. Accepting your weight, accepting your relationships, accepting your job, accepting your home, your body, your kids, your pets. You start relaxing. You change when you start becoming comfortable with being happy here and now. Now, that being said, resistance says I'm not happy. Resistance is what you bump into when you're in the process of doing that. Because resistance is that discomfort. So that's how we know when you bump into that. And it becomes frustrating and you have all these other symptomologies. And if we can allow source to get into that resistance, then we can move forward from that, loving yourself exactly the way you are, not for what you want to be. If you love yourself for the way you are, what you want to be just naturally arises and shows you. That's the true power of manifesting. That's missing from the law of attraction. Just be. What you want, what you need, arises, unfolds. But to a doer mentality and this doer society and culture, it doesn't pay, right? There's no reward in that. Reward is in the letting go, is in the surrender. It's in the passivity. That's the wisdom of the path. That's the wisdom of going within and deconstructing all the different conditioning that says do, have, get, work. I'm guilty. I'm still learning. Consider myself a work in progress all the time. Energetics. I'm still talking energetics, still working. And now we're going to drop in to a phase called letting go, which is a misnomer. It's really just a release phase. And here we're going to bring in a body mind choice point. Choice point is just that. When you have something that's stuck, this resistance is a result of something that is in your ancestral, again, karmic history, and it's stuck in your body mind, stuck in your physical form. So you're going to hear me breathing, bringing this Shakti breath, and it creates a reality stream that lives itself out as I'm going to resist. And you don't even know it. Again, it's habitual. You know that you have it when you bump into discomfort, when you're frustrated, when you have all these other symptoms, when you get angry and irritable. You're going to be breathing. We're pointing this at the hidden root of stress that's most needed right now. It's a form of reality shifting. Because your current reality says, I'm resisting. How do you know it's reality? Again, look at your symptoms. This reality shifting is going to that point of origin, and it lives itself out as a stream, as the symptomology. So we're going to go into those reality streams now, just to ask for them to be transformed, remanifested. That hidden point of resistance. And notice what's going on with your body. If you feel you have to do something, check your breath. Can you be breathing deeply into your lungs? Your breath is your Shakti, it's your prana, it's your life force, it's your chi. There we go. That created a little opening. Some relaxation, we call it space. Because resistance is tension, it's tightness, it's restriction, it's a block, it's a closed window, it's a shut door. And this space is just freedom to be. Not that resistance isn't happening, you meet it and say, okay, I'm going to make a different choice. So we're going to awaken any identification with that resistance. You don't even know on subtle levels, you don't even know you're identifying with it, because again, it's a habitual unconscious response. There we go. And each week we address a different topic. 3 different ways. In one group, we go into the body, similar to what we just did here. In another group, we go deeper into the issues. When you're dimensional, again, your energetic system is very complex. In another day, we bring in more coherence to that awakened presence within you that knows it's not asleep. But each one of them has similar approaches to this, because dimensionally, in order to achieve those results, your system needs to be open. And recognizing that hidden trauma or hidden roots or hidden stress prevents even that intention to be achieved is really transformational. The third part, or the final part of this, or not the final, and the next step is integration. So we're going to remanifest your brain consciousness, your nervous system, to repattern, to integrate. Because dimensionally, you are connected to everyone and everything in this beautiful, well, some people call it matrix or field of energy, divine webbing, vital webbing, this conscious awareness. There's different names for it. But you are an infinite aspect of this. So if we go in and change one aspect of that, we have to go and tell everything else that we changed it. Integration, very, very important. You can't skip it. And if you have, because you're just discombobulated for days, for weeks, for months. One change I had a year and a half. In fact, I'm not even quite sure I'm over that change that I had. So we're going to just integrate the brain, nervous system, remanifesting it to repattern for integration. And you can kind of sense a subtle, like puzzle pieces coming back together, like a subtle click, click, click of just going, yeah, that makes sense. Most people approach this the exact opposite. They go right to the resistance and say, clear it. Well, what they don't realize is that resistance is a tricky little bugger, and it resists that clearing for a myriad of reasons, and that our dimensional system needs a navigational approach, especially when it's complex, as our dimensional systems are. And you've hit it when you're stuck, when you're frustrated, when you don't know, when you're just, irritable or angry or exhausted. That's resistance. It's a sure sign of resistance. So remanifesting the brain and the brain consciousness and the nervous system to repattern for integration. It's just like a giant sigh of relief. And now we're going to go and do the same for your overall system in all of consciousness. Earthwork has an advanced form of integration as it recognizes that, again, this is an important part of the process, but this should serve this particular movement. And again, to me, it just feels like watchworks, like those little watchworks just syncing up. Like they were kind of gummed up before, sticky, and weren't really meeting each other accurately. And they're just falling back into place. Now we're going to clear the astral for integration for this pattern of resistance that is hidden. The astral is the energy of your experiences around you. So of course it's going to hold this pattern. It just takes a moment because this intention is very potent and we have a lot of help. There we go. Now dropping into reorientation, what we're going to do is create a series of blueprints of the you that is free of this particular resistant pattern. You work through, because all potentials exist on a dimensional plane. You've worked through every single aspect of this resistance pattern and you've transformed it, gaining all its wisdom. Again, there's so much wisdom for working through something, meeting it with your awareness, realizing, coming to terms, making changes, altering, light bulb moments, insights, clarity, all sorts of things happen. So bringing in that blueprint where that's already happened. It's transformed. And it's an aspect of freedom. That can be all sorts of things. It could be a settling, a peace, a calmness. So we're just going to call it deepening. Deepening in freedom. These upper dimensional blueprints are like little markers holding it in place. Doesn't mean it actively manifests immediately. What it means is that they're blueprints for you to follow as you make different choices, start reframing things, acting differently, thinking differently, reconditioning your life to reframe from a place of freedom instead of that pattern that was controlling and restricting in resistance. Beautiful, huh? Now dropping into an alignment with that blueprint. This we call the Truth Tower. This is a multidimensional portal with your feet in the center of the earth, your crown in the center of the galaxy, your spine merged with all your timelines, and this particular pattern of freedom coming in as alchemy codes, as manifesting potential of the you again that's already moved through this resistance and is aligning with it as a coherence, as an embodied coherence. To allow it to come in and alchemize your physical form all the way to your atoms and quarks, from your feet to your knees to your hips, your core, especially that third chakra, your chest, your heart, your lungs, your shoulders, your throat, your skull, your crown, and flowing up and out into this giant toroidal field that is the you, that interfaces with all the world, interfaces with all the universe actually, but we're going to just keep it to the world and allow this alchemy code, this presence, this intentional alignment with the you that is free of that particular resistance pattern, and send it out to the earth, because you interact with all the earth interacts with you. We want to change that coding, alchemize it. As we send it out, it's going to settle into the places that also need it, up in the mountains, deep in the earth, throughout all the waters, the lands, the forests, to all people, all sentient and non-sentient life, animals, the birds, insects, marine life, into the molecules, into the bacteria, all consciousness. As a pattern free of that resistance. So we call it freedom. And it's an embodiment of freedom, the living expression of it. That's true earthwork. Again, people always envision, what is my greater purpose? To me, there is nothing more important than this. But don't discount it. It is a path that carries with it not only great reward, but we can almost feel like we're drowning in the trauma, in the pattern, in the frustration, in the resistance. It can feel stagnant. It can feel bitter until we move out of the way, out of our own way. And then that too is the path of healing. To reframe a new vision, a new life. The whole world is in this place. And so to me, doing this work is earth work. Your body is earth. It's a Gaian being. It is interconnected. And when you come into that recognition, that realization of your unifying truth, it's like not only light bulbs going off, it sends out this light of unifying presence. It changes not just your lineage, the entire earth itself, because the entire earth is you. There's a recognition that there isn't anything separate. And it is you are one unique expression of the whole. And this is the prayer of doing this work. Resistance is a piece that stands in the way of that recognition, of that realization. So hopefully today we addressed one of those pieces of resistance. We met it in each of its forms, and we helped to transform it. Create new blueprints for freedom. It's a prayer we sing at the end of every session. Bringing in extra insight and clarity now in the form of any therapeutic light bulbs that need to go off for you, for your ancestors, for your life. As we sing a Sanskrit mantra, which translates to may we be led from untruth to truth, from darkness to light, from death to immortality. May we be conduits of that truth for freedom and peace for all. Asatoma Satgamaya, Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma Tramgamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Guryo Namaha. Hari Om. Peace, peace, peace. May peace become your guiding light to cut through any and all resistance to bring you back to peace. Filling up the space with gratitude and love for your personal guides who assisted you today, for all the divine sources of inspiration, of energetic transformation. Thank you. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for taking the time. Thank you for allowing me to be a conduit. May love bless it all. Taking a deep breath to come out of the space of here and now. It is done. It is complete. So it is, so it is, so it is. If you feel guided to stay flowing in this alignment phase, please take as much time as needed. Follow your own intuition. Sending you love, sending you gratitude. Until next time, be blessed.